We all know about baby wearing, baby monitors, and taking loads of photos. But I'm here to tell you my 10 top new baby parenting hacks you probably haven't heard before. Let's get started. Tip number 1. When your baby's born, they will have the tiny little fingers and tiny little toes, but they'll also have tiny little fingernails and tiny little toenails. And although they're quite soft and not very sharp, they will keep growing. Instead of using clippers or scissors, just nibble them or use a little nail file while they're asleep. That way, you won't risk cutting their skin like I did once. My heart broke a little bit. And you won't have to deal with a wriggling baby. Tip number 2, if you live in a 2-story house, have some baby changing supplies upstairs and downstairs, preferably in a little basket that you keep in the same place all the time. In the basket, you'll need a diaper or nappy, a burp cloth, some wipes, some barrier cream, maybe a spare dummy, a onesie, that sort of thing, and a changing mat. This way, you don't have to keep running up and down the stairs whenever there's a poo explosion. The little onesies have the flaps on the shoulders. That's not just so you can get it over their heads easily. It's actually designed that you can roll the onesie down their body when they do a poo explosion, which they will. There's no getting away from it. It's going to happen multiple times. I didn't learn this until my second baby. And when a clever mum told me, I was like, of course, that's the reason. They're brilliant. So you don't end up getting poo all over their heads. While we're on the subject of clothes, please don't buy lots of newborn clothes. It's lovely. They're so cute. They're so tiny. You're so excited. Everybody wants to get the tiniest little things with the little designs. Your baby will wear them for about 5 minutes. I had 2 10-pound babies. They didn't wear any newborn clothes. They're much too small. Went straight into the 1 to 3 month range. So although it looks lovely, please don't overindulge. Maybe even borrow some or get some secondhand because they're just not going to wear them for very long. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. While we're on the subject of nappies or diapers, however you call them, when your baby's born, they will still have the umbilical cord attached and it will stay attached for about 10 days, give or take. You'll need to be keeping that umbilical cord dry, which feels like an impossible task when you've got this nappy, which is always a bit too big on a tiny little newborn. One thing you can do is cut 2 little slits in the top of the nappy, just below the umbilical cord, and then tuck that little section underneath. Some people say to roll the top of the nappy down, but in my experience, they're not really designed for that, and it just doesn't work. They either come off or that you get leaks. This is the best thing. That way you keep the umbilical cord nice and dry, it doesn't rub, and you kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Speaking of diapers and nappies, let's talk about little boys. My first was a girl, my second was a boy. The rumours are true. When you take a nappy off a little boy, they will just pee everywhere, and it probably will end up on you.
Here goes Old Faithful.
Sprang a leak.
So, what I recommend is before you take a diaper off a little boy, just get a wet wipe across their tummy. The coldness will make them have a little wee. Alternatively, if you don't have any wet wipes around, which you probably will, but if you don't, just undo the flaps of the diaper, just gently flap, and the cold air will make them have a little wee, and then you can safely take the diaper off without any accidents. Tip number 4, when people offer to help you, please say yes. Trust me, if you turn down help at the beginning, it may not be offered again. Have a little list of everything that you need doing around the house or picking up from the shops. So when somebody says, I'm coming around, do you want anything? You say, yes, please. I'll have a pack of nappies, please. And I'll get some of those wipes. Tell them exactly what you want. Brilliant. People love to feel useful and helpful. And it's brilliant that you haven't got to leave the house just to get some new nappies. Also, when people are around and they say, is there anything I can do to help? Really jump on this. Say, actually, would you mind throwing the Hoover around? Or I've got this laundry, it all needs folding, I'm too tired. That's a great task for them. Or you can say, I tell you what, would you mind taking the baby for a little walk round the block while I have a little snooze? If it's someone you trust, obviously.
I don't think we brought enough stuff. Did you forget to pack the baby's anvil?
It's great. Brilliant. It gives you that little bit of a break and someone else feels useful as well. Excellent. Tip number 5. Now, this can be a little bit controversial, but I always did it. My babies are healthy as oxes. My firstborn loved her dummy. She just couldn't get enough of it. But sometimes it would fall out of her mouth and onto the floor wherever we were. Now, you can either go and buy a shit ton of dummies and just have them in your pockets and everywhere, or you can do what I did, pick it up, pop it in your mouth and put it back in your baby's mouth. Now, lots of people will say, oh, you mustn't do that. If you Google it, there's lots of experts saying no, but there's really nothing wrong with it. My baby's absolutely fine. My mouth is not unclean. So I had no problem with it at all. Actually, I'll link below to a really interesting article that says that some research has been done to show that babies who have dummies from their mummies' mouths have fewer risk of allergies. And my kids don't have any allergies, so I don't know if that's related or not, but it could be. Anyway, I think it's perfectly fine. Loads of people do it. Just don't worry about it too much. And anyway, who carries sterilizer around with them all the time? I certainly didn't. It was the last thing on my list. So what, your baby's crying, they need the dummy. For goodness sake, give them the dummy. Tip number 6. Now, you're going to be living a 24-hour day and you're going to be wearing the same clothes for 24 hours, probably longer. Where are you going to get time for a little bit of self-care? My top tip is to shower in the evenings. If you're anything like me, I like to be out and about with my babies, going to toddler groups, the park, whatever it is, especially when you're up at the crack of dawn, just got to get out of this house. I used to like showering the evenings. That way you wash off all that disgusting, stale breast milk, the sick up and everything else. You go to bed fresh. You're going to be up soon anyway. So what difference does it make other than giving you a little bit more time? Put the baby to bed. Your partner's going to be listening out for the baby. You go and have a lovely long shower and wash the day away. Perfect. And when you get out, you can treat yourself to that lovely cold glass of wine, which you definitely will deserve. Tip number 7, burping your baby. Plenty of tips about this, but my big tip is to let your husband deal with it or your partner. You've just sat there for ages feeding the baby, especially if you're breastfeeding. Give them their special job. Guys want to get involved with the baby. In the first few weeks, it's all about mummy. It's all about baby. Give them a special role that's just theirs, that they can master. And it's a really amazing bonding opportunity as well with the baby. They're really quite good at it. They're much more patient than you, who's been sitting there for hours. So I would definitely recommend handing the baby over to your partner and then just walking away, and they can wait for that precious burp that we all want to hear. Tip number 8 is about baby sleep. Now, there's so much advice out there about baby sleep. I'm not going to waffle on and on and on about all that. We'll cover that later. But I've just got 3 top tips within baby sleep that I think will really help you. The first, learn how to swaddle your baby. I'll put a link below to a brilliant video, super simple, to how to swaddle your baby if you're not really quite sure how. Babies love being swaddled, especially newborns. It makes them feel really cocooned and safe. It's a brilliant hack. The second is to get a bedside bassinet. Your baby will know that you're close. You'll know your baby's close. You can keep an eye on each other a little bit. And nighttime feeds are so much easier when you don't have to get out of bed. My third tip is to layer the baby cot with a mattress protector sheet, and then your baby. That way, if you get a leak in the night or a spillage even of some milk, anything at all you need to do is take off one sheet and mattress protector. You've got a lovely fresh layer underneath to pop your baby on, and you've not got to do a really big change in the night. So much easier. Tip number 9 is about cleaning between fingers and toes. When your baby's born, they will love doing this. They'll love grabbing your hair, any jewelry, anything at all, but they will always end up like this. Now, my little boy loved doing this. He still does. He's 4, but we're talking about newborns. So how do you clean in between these little fingers and in their palms? It's called the palmar grasp reflex, but how do you clean in between the fingers and on their palms? Literally, all you need to do is gently bend forwards and they will release their hands. Get in there quick and clean before they do this again. That's all you need to do. No pressure, just a tiny little gesture, and that will make them open their hands up. The toes, you need to activate the plantar reflex. And to do this, pretend this is a foot. Go from the heel, put up the foot like this, and it'll make their toes splay out, and then you can clean in between. My 10th and final tip, and I think it's probably the best one, is please involve older siblings. Now, having a new baby, your first baby, really exciting, completely brand new, but adding another baby to the mix or another one, that's a completely different story. You've now got a toddler or older child and a newborn baby, and there's only one of you. When you have your second baby, you sort of think, I know what I'm doing now, but you hadn't factored in having an older sibling to deal with as well, or maybe 2 older siblings, or 3 or 4. So my tip is to please work as a team and get the older siblings involved. Dish out the big sister, big brother t-shirt, I'm the best, that sort of thing, and give them a present from the baby when the baby is born. I did this when my little boy was born, and my daughter now still thinks that he gave that to her, and she absolutely loves that little toy, even all these years later. I recommend allocating special jobs and responsibilities to your older siblings, just so they know they feel important and involved with the new baby. So it could be your toddler's special job to go and get another nappy or some wipes, or they know exactly where the little socks are kept, that sort of thing. Anything they can help you with, really. Just think of something that they can do that's age appropriate. So they're busy, they're involved, and they understand that there's really quite a lot to this. If all else fails, have a little box or basket of independent toys that they can only use when you're feeding the baby or putting the baby down for a nap, something where you cannot be with your toddler. They must be toys that they don't require an adult to help with, and it must be something they're excited to play with. You could even get them to pick their own toys. That way you know they're entertained, you know they're going to be a good few minutes not needing you, and you can spend some time with your baby without the mummy guilt. So those are my top 10 parenting hacks for new babies. Have you got any that you want to share? Put them in the comments below. I'd love to have a look. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.